Republican Senator Tim Scott has created, as we talked about on yesterday's show, an exploratory committee for president, meaning he's taking the step right before formally announcing his 2024 presidential bid, jumping into that GOP primary. And so because of this, making news with that announcement, he's getting asked questions from the media, and the issue of a national abortion ban comes up. Would he support something like a national abortion ban? And his answer is a word salad like I have not seen in a very long time. Holy smokes. And this represents, and we'll get this clip, of course. This represents the predicament that so many of these Republicans are in now, where their base, or part of their base, wants them to be very radical on the issue of abortion, with wanting to ban it, for example. But that's not going to win a national election. And so, yeah, they're having a hard time figuring out what they're supposed to say when they're asked questions like this. And this is what we got from Tim Scott.
Yes, sir.
Would you support a federal ban on abortions?
I would simply say that the fact of the matter is, when you look at the issue of abortion, one of the challenges that we have, we continue to go to the most restrictive conversations without broadening the scope and taking a look at the fact that I'm 100% pro-life. I never walk away from that. But the truth of the matter is that when you look at the issues on abortion, I start with a very important conversation I had in a banking hearing when I was sitting in my office and listening to Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury, talk about increasing the labor force participation rate for African American women who are in poverty by having abortions. I think we're just having the wrong conversation. Yes, sir.
What? The question was, sir, do you support a national abortion ban? I'll respond more after I show you another example of this during a CBS interview. I mean, stunning word salad.
You have talked a lot about your faith on the campaign trail as well. I want to ask you about your stance on whether the federal government should be involved in regulating abortion. Your colleague from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, has a bill to limit abortions at 15 weeks, federal restriction. Do you support that measure?
Yeah, so I would say this, that I am certainly 100% pro-life, without any question.
Okay, he says that now, but then later, when she goes, okay, so that means that you're for the ban, he goes, no. So just to hold.
I'm very, very clear about that, very consistent about that. I do think we spend not enough time understanding how far the far left has gone on the issue of abortion.
Interesting, because we were wondering where you stand on the issue of abortion, though. Not the far left on an abortion ban, where you stand on an abortion ban.
The Senate Democrats have voted for late-term abortions well into the third trimester, some even suggesting that we should have abortion up until the day of birth. The fact that we are one of a handful of countries that allows for late-term abortions is a challenging predicament for us to be in.
But in order to solve...
Okay, instead of me getting on a whole rant right now, I'm going to address the dishonest talking point there after we watch the back and forth to go forward a little more, but such a tired and dishonest talking point.
Do you think the federal government should be involved with something like what Lindsey Graham is proposing?
Yeah, there's no question that we're going to have lots of folks talk about legislation from a federal perspective, but what I've heard so far and what I've seen in the Senate aren't proposals, but those from the left trying to figure out how to continue their campaign towards late-term abortions, even allowing abortions.
Wait, what are you voting on if nobody's putting forward proposals? Votes from the left trying to... Okay.
Towards late-term abortions.
Again, I'll get to the late-term abortions thing in just a second.
Even allowing abortions based on the gender of the child or the race of the child or the disabilities of the child.
But as president, if you were president, would you advocate for federal limits?
Yeah. So once again, I'm 100% pro-life, and I do believe that. No, that's not what I said. I do believe that we should have a robust conversation about what's happening on a.
My goodness. Okay. He says that's not what I said. Yeah, but you're not saying anything, so we're trying to derive meaning from all those words. To talk about the late-term abortion thing, it's so dishonest. What they're trying to do is create a perception of a problem, about a problem that doesn't exist. And what is that problem that they're trying to instill a belief about in people? What they want you to believe is that women, We have this problem in America where women wait all the way until the 9th month. They go through the physical, biological processes of creating another being for 9 months. They go through the physical strain of that for 9 months. They undergo all of it. Month after month, they decide not to have an abortion when it would be easier on their body. And then they get to the 9th month and they go, all right, never mind. That's what they want you to believe. Obviously, that's absurd. What does happen in terms of late-term abortions is when it's medically necessary, the life, health of the mother is at stake. And medical professionals, in consultation with the woman, make that decision based on the complex variables at play there that can cause complications in the pregnancy, the fetus no longer being viable, the life of the mother being at stake, relating to those situations. And that is the only thing that's being discussed here, or should be getting discussed. But they want to create this caricature of a woman who just randomly is what went through all that and just randomly, never mind. And then they'll bring up other countries and say other countries have bans earlier than we do. Yeah, but see, the countries they'll reference, you look at their laws and they explicitly say, unless it's deemed necessary medically for the life, health of the mother by medical professionals in consultation with the woman. Not by the Republican politician, by the medical professionals. Because it's not as simple as a light turns on the top of your head that says, my life is now being threatened enough for you to give me an abortion, a late-term abortion. It's more complex than that. And so the nuanced decision about when the threat is severe, what the realities are at play, what's the best for the well-being, for the health of the woman, all of that has to be taken into consideration by someone who can synthesize that information properly, and then the best decision is made. And they ignore that reality. And they ignore the question, in the case of Tim Scott, that they get asked about abortion. Goodness gracious. He's going to have to come up with an answer eventually, because he will keep getting asked it.